Hey there, crypto traders and investors. It's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ Stocks, crypto assets, news and interviews. Today is Thursday, June 26th. Hope you're well. We've got some breaking news. The indicative ruling has been denied by Judge Torres in the SEC versus Ripple case. We're going to break this down in layman's terms, what it means. Essentially, there's two paths forward now, and they wanted to basically ease the penalties for Ripple. This is under the new SEC regime, right? This is basically them trying to clean up all of the past doings of the old SEC, but the judge isn't having it, right? She said that essentially she's made the ruling and they can't, come back now and change it. There's two paths forward. So we'll discuss all of that and more. We'll also take a look at the XRP price chart toward the end, what to expect in terms of that and the technicals in the days, weeks, months ahead. I'll give my thoughts and opinions. Before we do, make sure to smash the like. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell. You'll be notified on any future videos or when I go live. And as always, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. And full disclosure, full transparency, I do own XRP in my portfolio. It's my largest crypto holding. Accounts for about 80% of my entire crypto portfolio. You can follow us over on X as well, formerly Twitter. Handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. And speaking of X, Eleanor Torres did post on X as well. This was the article that came out as well. Judge Torres rejects SEC's bid to ease the Ripple penalties. And you have to think, she's probably pissed right off, right? This has been 5 years of her life, and now the SEC is coming saying, hey, we kind of want to give them a smaller slap on the wrist, so to speak. And we know that we ruled in and of itself XRP is not a security, but their institutional sales, right? The injunction that they received, we want to lower the fine. We want to change all of this, and it was this indicative ruling that they wanted to come in with the latest maneuver. And she rejected the SEC's motion for the indicative ruling that aimed to dismantle a prior court injunction compelling Ripple to adhere to securities law and to slash the financial penalties levied against the company by more than half. So essentially she's saying no, and she's probably pissed off at the SEC saying, hey, you wasted 5 years of my life. I came out, I gave you the law of the land, I ruled, I said that they violated the Securities Act, right, securities law. They have to pay a penalty. They have the injunction. So there's two paths forward. She said you can essentially, and this is what Eleanor Torres said, and this is, again, I'm not a lawyer, but this is the way I've always understood it as well. If the indicative ruling was not agreed upon by the judge, in this case, Judge Torres, there'd be two paths forward. Either they can accept the ruling as it is, right? Ripple can just pay the $125 million fine and the injunction and move on. That could be the end of it. Or they can go through the appeals process. They can go off to the appellate court, right, the appeals court. And then ultimately, it might even go all the way to the Supreme Court. So there's two paths forward. Either accept the ruling as it is, pay the fine, move on, injunction, pay that, and accept the ruling as it is, and move on, or challenge it and go potentially all the way up to the Supreme Court. That's two ways that it could play out. And if they appeal and they go through the appeals process, then it's possible that a different court may rule otherwise and may remove the fine altogether. They may remove the injunction, so we just don't know. No one has a crystal ball, so it'll be up to, Ripple ultimately what they want to do. If they want to just move on, we'll see what happens. But ultimately, I don't really expect this to change anything with regards to XRP or Ripple, the company. We're seeing growth like you wouldn't believe. There was XRP spot ETFs that were launched here in Canada. I'm actually in conversation with 3IQ. I'm going to try to do my best to have them on the channel for an interview. But I would like to just have a conversation with them, just learn a little bit more about their products and how things have been going. And it's not going to be that much longer, I think, until the U.S. approves U.S. Spot ETFs for XRP, Solana, some of these other altcoin ETFs as well. So there's a lot of growth happening. Ripple's still thriving. There's no question there. The U.S., this new administration in the U.S. is very pro-crypto. We've been seeing where you can potentially claim crypto on a mortgage now in the US. So things are moving at breakneck speed. And this is just another bump in the road that we have to get over. But in my opinion, I think the reason for this, why she did this, is because, hey, I made the ruling. You guys aren't the judge. I'm the judge. You wasted 5 years of my life, and these are the two options that you have now. Take it, right? So I think at the end of the day, she's probably just absolutely pissed off because, yeah, it's been a complete waste of time, and the SEC shouldn't have brought it in the first place, right? But at the end of the day, that's the law of the land, and we'll see what happens with regards to one of these two avenues. But who knows? Maybe the government ends up getting $125 million instead, and if Ripple were to pay that fine in XRP, well, that means the U.S. government would be given a lot more XRP. And think about it, they have the sovereign wealth fund, the strategic stockpile, right? So things are getting interesting, and we'll see what happens with the escrow. We've been seeing a wider pullback, not that big of a pullback in the broader crypto space, but Bitcoin was down about a little over 1.5%. Litecoin was down from its recent high about 2.5%, and then Ethereum was down about 4.5%. But XRP getting the brunt of the move here to the downside, down about 6%. But overall, not too bad given the circumstances. And XLM is actually down more than XRP, about 6.5%. And we had a head and shoulders on the 4-hour time frame on XRP. So we had our left shoulder, our head, right shoulder, and then you just take your measured move there from the head to the neckline. And you can see here the target, once that head and shoulders confirmed, was 210, and we just hit 209. So we're pretty much bang on there with that head and shoulders target. And again, show me the chart, I'll tell you the news. We had the head and shoulders to be looking out for, then we got the news, and then ultimately played out as expected in terms of the technicals. We could still see an EMA 12 and 26 bear cross here on the 4-hour time frame. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a little bit more turbulence and pullback, maybe back down into the 90,000s on Bitcoin. They're not going to make it easy. Nothing goes in a straight line or straight up or straight down forever. They're not going to make it easy. It's definitely going to be turbulent, but I think, July is going to be a very, very bullish month. I think a lot of these spot ETFs are more than likely going to go live in the US, and there's a good chance that we see it on XRP as well. But we should get some updates with regards to how they're going to progress and how they're going to move forward here over the next couple of weeks, I would think. But again, we'll leave it to the lawyers and to Ripple and SEC to come out and update everybody. I'm not going to try and speculate and guess on what they're going to do because I would just be, pulling it from my rear side. So as of, right now, we're looking pretty good here on the XRP chart. We are very close to seeing a MACD bull cross. We just had a stochastic bear cross, but we could flip bullish again any minute. And we're back below the 10-week moving average. So what we want to see is 2, preferably 3 candle closes above that 10-week moving average, get the stochastic to cross bullish again, and the MACD. And that's what we call at Pow Group and the Pow Algo service a bullish triple thunder crossover. And the price crosses above the 10-week moving average, and we get a bull cross on the weekly for the stochastic and the MACD, just like here. This was a triple thunder crossover happening. We got 2 closes over, and it was off to the races. Absolute moonshot. Then we had a bearish triple thunder crossover with the close below the 10-week moving average, MACD and stochastic cross bearish, and we had tons of downside. So now we're looking for the opposite, which is, again, that bullish triple thunder crossover, which would be the second time since back in November. And I think we're going to see new all-time highs once that happens. Also, on the daily time frame, we're gearing up for a golden cross. So we rejected right at the 100-day moving average, but we're very close to seeing the 50 and the 200-day moving average cross bullish again. And if that does happen, that's what we refer as a golden cross. So that could potentially happen over the next couple of weeks. Like I said, I think July is going to be an absolute bullish month. But very promising. We've been seeing huge growth for the spot ETFs in Canada for XRP. We've been seeing massive institutional demand and growth in both Canada and the US and around the world. And I don't think that trend is going to stop anytime soon. But let me know your thoughts and opinions on this in the comment section below. We'll continue the conversation there. I know it's frustrating. It just seems like it's the case that'll never end. And especially since there's a lot of other cases that were way more sketchy that settled a lot quicker. But to quote, I think it was Jeremy Hogan, one of the well-known lawyers in the crypto space in the XRP community. He said, imagine some of these other projects that were going through, these different litigation or lawsuits. He compared it to like a girlfriend, right? They were just basically dating a girlfriend. They've been dating for like 6 months and they had to break up. Whereas XRP, or I guess Ripple in this case, and the SEC were married and had a baby. There's a lot more to go through, right, in terms of the divorce. So that's a great analogy, and we're coming close. We're close to the finish line, folks. The main point is that XRP in and of itself is not a security. Ripple is going to be just fine. XRP is going to be just fine, more than just fine, in my opinion. I think they're both going to be absolutely just. They're going to put a dent in the universe, right? I think I've said many times now that Ripple will become the most valuable company in the planet. It'll be bigger than Apple, Amazon, Google, you name it. And XRP will be the most valuable digital asset, bar none. I'm very confident in that. Obviously, there's no guarantees in financial markets, but I'm as close to 100% certain as I can be. But going into there, it's Rod with Pow Group. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth, and we'll see you again on the next video.